What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the JT Sports Podcast. I'm your host, JT. Hope that y'all are having a great day. The new college football video game is set to drop next month, and I'm already disappointed because they got all these coaches in the game, but they're leaving off the two most popular ones in the sport right now. So we'll start off discussing why Deion Sanders and Bill Belichick won't be in college football 26. I'll give you guys my reasons for why I'm buying the hype with LSU, my year one expectations for Bill Belichick at North Carolina. Can Miami football sustain success? And what makes Alabama's defense top 5 heading into this season? Smash that like button, subscribe, check us out wherever you get your podcast from. You can find this episode and all of our previous ones on Apple, Spotify. Links are down in the pinned comment section down below. And let's dive into it. 300 coaches will be in college football 26 this year, but not Deion Sanders and Bill Belichick. And I was really looking forward to opening up college football 26, playing with Colorado, looking at Deion Sanders on the sidelines. I wanted to see how they got his model, how his signature glasses were going to look. And then Deion Sanders at North Carolina, I wanted to see how he was going to look in the game, because this will be our first glimpse of Bill Belichick on the sidelines as a college football head coach. But I'm already disappointed with these two head coaches being left out of the game. Not really too surprised that Bill Belichick isn't in it. If you played Madden for a very long time, he was never in that because he wasn't in the NFL Coaches Association. He's an introvert. He doesn't really socialize that much with a lot of folks. So it's on brand for him not to be in college football 26. But it really shocked me to not see Deion Sanders in the game this year. I thought not only would he be in it, but he would have been on the cover. If you're going to sell a college football video game with head coaches being one of the biggest selling points for it, not only do you want Deion in it, but you want him on the cover. He would have increased the sales. And one of the reasons why I think Deion Sanders won't be in college football 26 is due to his likeness probably costing a lot more than what it did for the other coaches that are in the game. Because Deion Sanders is unlike any coach in college football. He has a Taylor Swift impact on the game of college football, where he has brought a different audience to this sport. People who never watched football before are now watching college ball because Deion Sanders is coaching at Colorado. You got people from all across the world who are watching college football because of Deion Sanders. So for him to be in the game, his likeness definitely would have costed EA Sports a pretty hefty bill, but I feel it would have been worthwhile. And maybe another reason why Deion Sanders chose not to be in the game is due to him probably still holding a grudge over EA Sports because of Shedeur Sanders' rating last year. He was tied with Carson Beck for being the highest rated quarterback in the game at 93 overall. Shedeur Sanders went to social media to speak out about it. And, of course, Coach Prime backed him up on that. But for EA Sports to not be willing to pay extra to get Deion in the game, if that is the case why he wasn't in it, is a little bit head-scratching. He definitely would have given them a little bit of a boost in sales. Hopefully, Deion Sanders changes his mind, because just because they're not in the game right now, that doesn't mean that they can't be in the game come launch time. We still have a month to go, and it'll be nothing for them to get his face scanned. I'm pretty sure if Deion wanted to be in the game, he would be in it. But it definitely is a missed opportunity for both Deion and Bill Belichick to not be on CFB26, because not only is it good marketing for them in the school, but it also helps them out in recruiting. Recruits play these games, and the more exposure that you get to these coaches, the more familiarity you start to build up with them. And this definitely would have helped out Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, to us, casual football fans or diehard fans of this sport, we know who he is. But to a lot of recruits out there who didn't really keep up with what he did at New England, not everybody knows who the head coach is for a lot of these NFL teams, believe it or not. It would have helped him in that department. And Jordan Hudson, she's supposed to be the main handler of his public appearances, what he does on social media, marketing opportunities for him. I don't get why she wouldn't have him in the game, or at least tell him not to be in it, because he definitely could have used the extra exposure. But it's just really disappointing that both Bill Belichick and Deion Sanders, the two most popular coaches in college football right now, won't be in the new upcoming college football video game. LSU is the most polarizing team in college football going into this season. You either feel one way or the other when it comes to this team. You're on one side of the fence. You believe that Brian Kelly in his fourth season will finally have this team playing up to expectations. They'll clinch a spot in the college football playoffs, and they'll compete for a national championship. Or you're on the other side of the fence, and you're fading LSU because you don't believe in Brian Kelly, and you think, once again, this team falls short of their lofty goals. Where I lie on this side of the fence is I believe in Brian Kelly at LSU. I'm buying all of the LSU hype out there. This is the most talented team that LSU has had since they won a national championship in 2019. And although Brian Kelly hasn't had the success that he was expected to have when he first got bought away from Notre Dame, he has had multiple 10-win seasons. They have beaten Alabama. He beat Nick Saban. They got a few big wins. It's just the consistency hasn't been there as of yet because he's had to somewhat rebuild this roster. And this is the year now where there's no excuses. He has everything that he needs to go out there and compete at the highest level. You got one of the best rosters in all of college football. You have brought in an average recruiting class of 6. You have the number 1 portal class with guys like Darian Brown, who was incredibly underrated at Kentucky because he had no good quarterback to get him the football. Nick Anderson. You got a lot of good players on the defense side of the football out of the portal as well. And then you got Garrett Nussmeier entering his second season as your starting quarterback. And the last 3 LSU quarterbacks have balled out in their second seasons. Jaden Daniels had a big second year. Joe Burrow had a huge second season where he led this team to the national championship. He won the Heisman Trophy. So year 2 for the last previous LSU quarterbacks has resulted in a lot of success. And there's no reason why Garrett Nussmeier can't follow down that similar path. He is the son of a current NFL coach. His dad is currently the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. And Garrett Nussmeier is projected to be a first-round pick in next year's draft. He has a great arm. He's able to fit passes into tight windows. His problem has been not being able to take care of the football. There were a few games where he imploded in the second half, like that game against Texas A&M. But when you have a first-year starter, it's expected that you have a few growing pains along the way. Going into a second season, another year in this offense with another year to develop and grow, I expect for those turnover numbers to greatly decrease. And on defense, Blake Baker did a fantastic job his first season as LSU's defensive coordinator. Remind you that in 2023, the reason why Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas weren't competing for the SEC title or in the CFP was due to how bad LSU's defense was that year. That was the worst defense in the history of this LSU football program. So for Blake Baker to take this defense from what it was in 2023 to being a outside top 50 unit, You can only expect that in his second season calling plays on this side of the ball, that you're going to see even more improvement to where they should be a lock to be a top 50 unit. You have a healthy Harold Perkins coming back. You're going to have a really good pass rush with what you bring in from the portal. You got a really good pass rusher from Florida. You get Patrick Payton from FSU, which potential is there for him. It's just last year at FSU, it didn't look like he was giving it his all. Hopefully with him actually playing in meaningful games this year, you'll get to see all of Patrick Payton's potential. And I just believe that overall, the kind of talent that LSU has makes this team foolproof in terms of them disappointing. Brian Kelly, say what you want to about him being overrated. Look, I agree. I'm not the biggest Brian Kelly fan in the world. As a matter of fact, I'm one of the biggest Brian Kelly critics. I've been saying that this guy wasn't it since the get-go. But I am willing to acknowledge that when Brian Kelly has had talented teams such as what he has going into this season at LSU, he's won. He is the winningest coach in the history of Notre Dame football. He's won over 70% of his games, and he's a proven consistent winner. He's been coaching college football longer than me and a lot of you guys watching have been alive. He's been the head coach for 21 years, and everywhere he's gone, he's had a lot of success. And there's no reason why LSU shouldn't, at the bare minimum, win 10 games. If they go 10-2, they definitely are going to be in the CFP. And even if they go 9-3, depending on who they lose to, they can still get into the college football playoffs. The committee wanted to put in a 3-loss team last year, but they weren't unable to due to the losses that Ole Miss and Alabama took to unranked teams. So if there ever was a year for Brian Kelly to finally get it right at LSU, it's this year. My expectations for Bill Belichick in year one at North Carolina is a lot higher than what a lot of you all's expectations for him probably are, but I believe that Bill Belichick can lead North Carolina to the ACC championship in his first season coaching college football. They have one of the easiest schedules in America. They play 7 teams that finish with losing records. And conference play this year, they're going to play 5 teams that finished in the bottom of the ACC standings last year. And their 3 toughest games are against Clemson, which they probably lose, Syracuse, who won 10 games last year, and Duke. North Carolina, with the easy schedule they have, if Bill Belichick is still the GOAT coach that we believe him to be, from the success he had in the NFL when he won several Super Bowls as a coordinator and a head coach, with this easy schedule, it should be a cakewalk for him. He has a really good team. Yeah, he's bringing in the 3rd largest portal class in the country, and normally a team that has a bunch of transfers tends to be hit or miss. But if you're a good coach, bringing in a bunch of guys from the portal, you should be able to coach them up and have this team playing good football. You have a school that's throwing a lot of money behind Bill Belichick. They've even lowered some of their academic standards to get a lot of these portal guys in. And you bring in Gio Lopez, who transfers from South Alabama. He should give North Carolina stable quarterback play. And when you get competent quarterback play, at the bare minimum, you should be a 6-win team. He had 16 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He was 30th in the country in QBR. He also was really good running the football as well. So you get a really dynamic dual threat quarterback who is already proven. He's already shown what he can do as a starter. Yeah, he's taken a bump up in competition, going from playing in the Sun Belt at South Alabama to playing in the ACC, but I don't think it's going to be that big of an adjustment for him. It's not like the ACC is the Big Ten or the SEC or anything like that. And another reason why I'm high on Bill Belichick in year one at Chapel Hill is because he's going to have this defense playing really good. For the last couple of years under Mac Brown, North Carolina's defense, let's just be honest, it's been non-existent. They allowed James Madison, JMU people, to hang 70 points on them. There's no way this defense can be any worse under Bill Belichick, arguably the greatest defensive mind in the history of football, than what it was under Mac Brown. When you let JMU hang 70 on you, yeah, changes needed to be made. Mac Brown, he's a legend. I love him, but golly, man, 70 points to a G5 school? You mean to tell me Bill Belichick isn't going to have this defense being remotely way more improved this year than what it was these last couple of years? Defense has not been a thing in Chapel Hill. It hasn't. Their defense has always finished in the bottom of the ACC. So with Bill Belichick, he's going to have you playing good defense. You're going to have stable quarterback play, and you have the easiest schedule in this conference this year. I got UNC going 10-2. They make it to the ACC championship game, and I got them making it to the college football playoffs. If the committee has an opportunity to put Bill Belichick in the CFP, they're going to do it. Why? Because of ratings. They already want to use ratings as a criteria for which teams get in. You mean to tell me that a round one game where you have Bill Belichick or hopefully Deion Sanders in it wouldn't be a huge draw for college football? The path has been perfectly paved for Bill Belichick to have a fantastic entrance in college football as a head coach. You know, they rolled that red carpet out for him perfectly. All this NIL money, unlimited salary cap space, because in the NFL, you have to worry about the salary cap. In college football, you have no salary cap to worry about. Only thing you got to worry about is not running out of money. But it seems like they got a lot of it down there in Chapel Hill, and he's cutting those checks, and he's making some really good additions. And I was talking to a homie that plays running back that I went to college with, and he was telling me, because I asked him, how good does he feel Bill Belichick will be in year one? He said he might struggle a little bit early, but if you're a good coach, even though you're bringing in a lot of transfers, you're going to be able to coach these guys up, and you're going to be able to win, because the transfer portal kind of exposes how good of a coach you are. And normally in the NFL, you don't have a lot of turnover as what you see in college football. But Bill Belichick has had some years where he's had a lot of new faces on offense and defense in New England, and he still is able to win. Now, he did have Tom Brady. Gio Lopez isn't no Tom Brady, but it's like he should be one of the better quarterbacks in the ACC this year. I got UNC at 10-2, runner-ups in the ACC, making it to the CFP, and Bill Belichick's first season. I'm not drunk. I'm not high. I'm sober when I'm saying this. I just still believe Bill Belichick is a good coach. The biggest question for Miami going into this season is not how good is Carson Beck going to look coming off that elbow injury. It's not how improved is this team going to be on the defensive side of the football. The biggest question for the Hurricanes this season is, can they sustain success under Mario Cristobal? Miami hasn't had back-to-back 10-win seasons in 22 years. And ever since Larry Coker, the past couple of Miami head coaches, they'll peak, they'll win 9-10 games, and then they'll fall off the year after. The closest head coach that Miami has had to having sustained success was Mark Richt. When in his first season, he went 9-4. His second season, he won 10 games. And after that, the program fell off a cliff. Mario Cristobal has a proven track record of being able to win. He won at Oregon. He won the Pac-12. He won a Rose Bowl. He knocked off Ohio State one time on the road. And last season, he showed a lot of growth. Although Ken Ward did mask a lot of deficiencies with this team this offseason, he fixed everything that held back Miami. You get a new defensive coordinator in Corey Heatherman, who replaces Lance Guidry. You spent a lot of money in the portal to improve that secondary. You got 4 out of 20 of the highest rated defensive backs from this past portal cycle. You got Xavier Lucas from Wisconsin. You also got Jacoby Thomas from the spring portal cycle out of Tennessee. So not only is your secondary really good, but your defensive line is also stout as well. And Carson Beck, although he's nothing close to Cam Ward, and I doubt he will be as good as what Cam Ward is, he should still be good enough with how good the offensive line is and the good receivers that he's going to be throwing to where he should still be able to put up good enough numbers to have Miami competing for the ACC championship. Miami this year, the biggest test for Mario Cristobal is going to be, can he get Miami football to that next level? Because anytime as a Miami fan, it felt like this program was about to break through, finally win the ACC, finally start back competing for national titles again, they end up coming right back down to earth. But in the NIL era, it's never been easier for Miami to get back to what they were in the glory days of the early 2000s, in the 90s, the 80s with Jimmy Johnson and whatnot. This is a make or break season for Mario Cristobal. And you Hurricanes fans have known that I've been heavily critical of this guy. I still don't really believe that he's going to work out, but I'm willing to give him the benefit of a doubt. If Miami can beat Notre Dame week 1, you feel really confident about how things are going to go this season. Notre Dame has a really good team. Most people in the media have them projected to be back in the playoffs. If you start this season off with a win against a potential playoff team, it'll go a long way to defining the tone for what this season is going to be. And Mario Cristobal is a good recruiter. We know the talent is there, but the talent has always been there for Miami. From Manny Diaz to Al Golden to Randy Shannon, Miami's issue has never been talent. It's always been execution and coaching. And they've been in this conference for how many years, and they still haven't won at least one ACC championship. Something has to change this year. Now, I'm not saying it's ACC title or bust for Mario Cristobal, but this team better be in the college football playoffs this year. It went from 4 to 12. Come on now. If you can't get in at 12, are you going to be able to get in at 14, 16? This should be an easy path for Miami getting into the dance this year. There's no excuse. If Mario can't get it done, which y'all all agree that it will be time for him to go, and then you bring in Rhett Lashley or the head coach of Syracuse, you got to bring in somebody else that can maximize all of these resources. At one point, Miami didn't have the best of resources compared to some of the other big blue bloods of this sport. Now you do. Now you're a main player in NIL. You're throwing out a lot of money for the best offensive tackle out of high school. You can buy anybody in the portal. Miami has to come up big this year. I'm not expecting a national championship. Hell, I'm not even expecting for Miami to win the ACC, although that should be the expectations, because they are just as good as what Clemson is this year. The talent between Clemson and Miami, you know, there really is no discrepancy there. Miami recruits just as good, if not better than what Clemson has. They've used the transfer portal more than what Clemson has. This is Clemson's first ever year really dabbling in the transfer portal. No pun intended. Miami has to show that under Mario Cristobal, they can build off the success that they had in 2024 with Cam Ward, and they have to be able to maintain that success this year. Because if they come right back down to earth, it would be the 23rd straight year that this program has gone without back-to-back 10-win seasons. And you don't expect that for the amount of money that has been poured into this team and the amount of resources that they've invested into this year's squad. Is all in. It's playoffs or bust for Mario Cristobal and co. You got a great coaching staff. You got a solid quarterback. You got arguably the best team, the most talented roster in the ACC. This is a top 10 roster in college football heading into this year. Anything less than a playoff berth means that Mario Cristobal should lose his job. Eventually, Miami's going to have to find a head coach who can get this program past this ceiling of just capping off at 10 wins. Do you Miami fans like me believe that this program is more than capable of being a 10 plus win team on a consistent basis? I do. And if you don't, then it further shows how this program has truly fallen for what they used to be. I don't believe that the ceiling for Miami football is 10 wins. I don't believe that the ceiling for Miami is a New Year's Six bowl game. The ceiling is being a consistent contender for the ACC, constantly being in an ACC title game, and always being a lock to be in the college football playoffs with the access that you have to local recruiting. The majority of the nation's best players come from within Miami's backyards. You can scoop them up. Yeah, a few may slip through the cracks here or there, but the guys who do slip through the cracks, you can get guys from everywhere else. California, Texas, it really doesn't matter. Miami should be able to sustain success in 2025. Anything else but a 10-win season or better, appearance in the CFP, means that Mario Cristobal should get the pink slip and get his key card access to the Miami Hurricanes football facilities revoked. Alabama football is going to link this year. They're going to let all the naysayers know that just because Nick Saban has retired, the reign of dominance from the Tide is still not over. I believe in Kalen DeBoer. I've re-emphasized that several times throughout this offseason. And one of the biggest reasons why I'm high on the Crimson Tide this year is because how good this defense is going to be in 2025. I expect for Alabama to have a top 5 defense entering this season. They only lose 3 starters on this side of football. They return 8. You have the best secondary in college football. Xavier Brown goes into his sophomore season. He had an outstanding true freshman campaign. He was tied for first on the team in interceptions. He was a freshman all-SEC selection. He should have been a true freshman All-American. Can you guys tell me about a true freshman cornerback than Xavier Brown? I can't think of one. You got Dormarndi Jackson, who goes into his second season playing for the Crimson Tide. If he builds off what he did last year, he should easily be a first or second round pick in the 2026 NFL draft. Last year, he showed that he has really good instincts. He's a fantastic athlete, and he has really good technique. Free safety, Keon Slab, he had a season-ending injury versus Tennessee, but before then, he was having a monstrous campaign for the Tide. He was a transfer from Michigan, and he was balling out. In a game against Western Kentucky, he had 2 interceptions. So if you get him for a full season with a Xavier Brown that takes an even bigger step in improvement this year, Dormarndi Jackson, you're going to have a shutdown secondary. And I almost forgot about Bray Hubbard, who stepped in and started a few games near the tail half of last year, and he was also really good. He was tied for the team leading interceptions with 3, and he was also really good in run support. Linebacker, you have Deontay Lawson coming back, who tore his ACL during the second half of last season. But if he would have stayed healthy for the entirety of 2024, he would have been possibly an All-American. He already was a third-team All-SEC selection because he was 9th in the conference in tackles. He had 6.5 tackles for loss and an interception to go along with that. And he also was a semifinalist for the Buckets Award, which is the linebacker of the year. So going into this season, he probably is a top 3 linebacker in the SEC, a top 5 linebacker in all of college football, and he should be another Alabama first-round pick as long as he's able to stay healthy. And then you also got Justin Jefferson, who started in a few amount of games last year due to injuries. He was very productive despite being more of a rotational guy. This year, he's competing for a starting job. You get N'Keal Hill-Green, who you essentially stole away from Colorado. I know Deion Sanders was hurt when he lost him because he was a dog. He was a second-team All-Big 12 selection. He was second in tackles on Colorado, and he had 11.5 tackles for loss. Not only is he really good against the run, but he's phenomenal in pass coverage. Now, the biggest question about this Alabama defense that has been a talking point of this offseason on this side of the football has been their defensive line / pass rush. How good is Alabama's pass rush going to be this year? You lose your 2 leading sackers or your 2 leading pass rushers from last year, and Jahad Campbell and Quay Robinson to the NFL draft. Who's going to end up replacing them? Is it going to be LT Overton? He's a breakout candidate of mine. He's a freak athlete. He's built like a superhuman. He's what you look for in a potential top 15, top 10 kind of pick. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Dallas Turner. May not be as explosive as what Dallas Turner was getting after the quarterback, but he's not too far off. And the pass rush was lackluster last season. And with LT Overton possibly having a breakout season, he could give you maybe 8 or more sacks this year. Also look out for a defensive tackle, Tim Keenan. He started in 12 out of 13 games in 2024, and he registered 7.5 tackles for loss. That's outstanding for a defensive tackle. Normally, you don't see defensive tackles in the backfield as much as what Tim Keenan was in. And they also got really good depth. They got some young guys who are probably going to have to step up and be a part of that pass rush rotation. But Kalen DeBoer does a really good job of getting the most out of his true freshman players. Overall, defensively, Alabama has not just the best defense in the SEC, but one of the 5 best defenses in all of college football entering this season. They don't really have too many weaknesses at all. I don't look at the defensive line or the pass rush as a weakness. It's just last year, you didn't get a lot of production there because you mainly just had 2 guys. Kalen DeBoer now has more guys that are better suited to be in the defense and run the style of defense that he wants. And when you got the best secondary in college football, it helps out that pass rush because then it gives them more time to get after the quarterback. And there's 2 ways to produce sacks. Either you got a dominant pass rush or you got to shut down secondary. So when you can erase everybody in pass coverage, you get a lot of coverage sacks that goes along with that. And with this defense playing at a top 5 level, as I expected to this year, it's going to be a main reason why we see Alabama bounce back year or 2 under Kalen DeBoer. Kane Womack is a pretty good defensive coordinator, and his defense could have been a lot better last year if the offense didn't tend to sputter in certain games like it tended to do against Oklahoma. Jalen Milroe struggled to complete the forward pass. And when you have incompetent play out of your quarterback and it holds back the offense, it puts your defense in a bind because they're on the field for more plays than what they should be. But with an improved offense from Ty Simpson taking over at quarterback with more efficiency on that side of the football, that also will help Alabama's defense improve as well because they won't be on the field for as many snaps. Could you imagine being a guy like Tim Keenan? You're already big as hell, so you get tired fairly quickly. You go 3 and out. You get a sip of that Gatorade on the sideline, and then 20, 30 seconds later, the offense goes 3 and out, and you're right back on the field. Of course your defense is going to get worn down. Of course it's going to hold back how good your defense could be. But overall, with the talent that Alabama has on this side of football, the amount of experience that they have at linebacker and the secondary, the potential they have on the D-line, and with what they're going to be able to do getting after the quarterback this year, this is a top 5 defense heading into the 2025 college football season.